I'm Amy Dowden, a professional dancer on Strictly Come Dancing. 3 years ago, my life changed completely when I was diagnosed with breast cancer.
And I'm Naren Basu, a breast surgeon specialising in breast cancer.
Welcome to Breast Cancer Uncovered. So I think for me, obviously, I got over my treatment. I just wanted to get my life back. I wanted to get my career back on the go. And then when I went for my test and it came back as we want to investigate further, I was just traumatized. And I was regularly checking my other breast, and trying to be on top of everything. What I advocate, I was trying to make sure that I was doing that too. And I was just like, I can't go through everything what I've been through again. And my mum has had breast cancer. And I remember that night after having a phone call to say we want to do a biopsy, I went to watch the Girls Aloud concert. And it was the big Sarah tribute who lost her eyes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And she was so young. And I remember Kimberly looking down on me, literally on the stage, and she could see I was in floods of tears. And I went back and I just said, she was like, are you okay? I know that was hard. I was just like, just something's happened today. And it was just constantly in the back of my mind. And I just knew I cannot go through what I've already gone through again, chemotherapy. And also I knew I've just got my career back on track. As a dancer, your performance career is short-lived, really. It's like footballers, do you know what I mean? It is, you can go on for as long as you can, but it is short-lived. And I'd already felt I'd been robbed for so long. But also we had learned of more family history. And that scared me. I want to be a mum, and I had a hormone-fed cancer, and that was in the back of my mind, And even though, there's science and everything behind it, it doesn't stop you from sleepless nights and anxiety. I'd spoken to you last year on the podcast about it. I'd spoken to my oncologist, and then we had the chat, and that's when I decided for me the right thing was to get rid of my breast. And we spoke together. You did the surgery. And I remember coming around from surgery and looking at my mum, who's been, through breast cancer herself, and going, it's done. I've done it now. And I felt like it was chapter closed. And finally, I could start to look ahead at my future, whereas there was always that doubt in the back of my mind, that fear of, getting too excited for the return of Strictly or a job that was on the horizon or a tour. Because obviously when my first diagnosis came about, my entire life changed. All my work and self-employed was all of a sudden taken away from me, and I was now facing, the toughest journey and not dancing on TV like I should have been.
I'm quite keen to understand, when you woke up, what was the feeling about risk that you felt?
I remember being there and seeing all the specs, and in my head I was just thinking, how can we biopsy every single spec, because there's so many of them. And you're just thinking, but what if one of them is? And I know your brain just goes into overdrive, and it goes sometimes to the worst places when it shouldn't be. And I think it's because you've, what I've been through. And when I went through chemo, it wasn't the easiest. I broke a bone twice. I had blood clots. I went in with sepsis, and I saw what that did to my family and to my loved ones around me.
Yeah, but you haven't done this to your family.
I know.
Yeah.
But you can see the pain in your parents' eyes, and I just wanted to kind of move on. And I know you will never fully move on, but I actually just felt like I didn't have to go from scan to scan anymore, checking my breasts.
Liberated.
Yeah, I just felt like it's done. I don't know, I felt like really was like a chapter closed, and there wasn't that doubt in my mind, should I, shouldn't I? And I didn't want to live with regret that in a few years' time that I was going through again, when I could have maybe took that risk away. And I know everyone's very different, and I haven't got big breasts anyway, and I'm not attached to them. And certainly since my first surgery, I wasn't bothered. I'm in a position where I'm married, I'm comfortable, and I just felt like I needed to do what was right for me. And anxiety as well, with my stomach condition, is not very good. Having Crohn's disease, stress and anxiety can be the biggest cause of flare-ups there. And I had returned the year before to Strictly. I had an amazing partner, JB Gill, who went on to the final. I got pulled out because I went back too early, fractured a bone. And then I was like, I can't go back another year and then be pulled out because I need my breast off or because of anxiety over it. All I told myself was when I was diagnosed was, once I get back on the Strictly dance floor, I'm going to be fine. So I think I parked everything I actually went through, and I thought getting back on the dance floor was going to fix everything. And it didn't. And that's when I really broke down and had to really work on myself and actually go through everything I'd actually been through. I feel the happiest, the strongest, the fittest I've ever been. But I knew then, like, okay, I need to get rid of all the fear that was still in me, no sleepless nights.
Your journey is just so inspirational. It honestly is. And it's so great that you're talking about this and you can talk about this in first person because you've actually been through it all. And you've had all the side effects and you've dealt with all the risks. You've done it all. So it's great to see you here, smiling again, doing what you love to do.
And actually, since my breast cancer diagnosis, which is now like nearly 3 years in like 2 weeks' time, but I'm going into my 10th series of Strictly. Got announced this morning. Thank you. But actually, since my breast cancer diagnosis, this is the one I'm most looking forward to because I don't have any fear.
Yeah.
I am like, let's do this. I'm working like to get myself as fit and strong and to show people like there is a life after cancer as well. So I think it's also, being as open and honest. And I find that, breaking down the stigma of people talking about it, or like you said, being scared to talk about breasts in a family scenario or situation.
Go speak to your GP. If you're worried, have this chat. You're wasting nobody's time.
As you find with different ethnicities, they look upon breast cancer or going to get screening or talk about it is different.
Very different. So in the ethnic minority groups, there is also this worry that if I am a lady in my 50s or 60s and I have breast cancer, how would that affect my daughter and anyone who is planning on getting married to my daughter and their relationship, because they might look at me as a risk factor. And also there is this stigma, this shame of attending this appointment because you're going to go in and you'll have to expose your breast. You're not very comfortable doing that. If you have an abnormality in your breast and you're seeing a male GP who is from an ethnic minority background, you definitely don't want to get examined then. You need a female GP. So there's so many barriers. And then, there was this really interesting data that was published by the NHS back in 2019, 2020, and 2022 again, where there was this huge disparity that's seen. When people who don't speak English are presenting to their NHS GP, sometimes there is this element of not being heard. It's very difficult for a woman who is ashamed of talking about her breast to actually book an appointment, make time, attend this GP appointment, and then speak about her challenges. When people come to you with their problems, they're actually facing a lot of anxiety and they're trying to get out of their comfort zone to come and sit in front of you on that chair. Be kind to them. Listen to them. Don't judge them. And something that might seem very trivial and unimportant to you is not unimportant to them. They're not medically trained. Our patients are better informed. It's very wise of us clinicians to actually speak to them in a way where we're educating them, we're not patronizing them, but it's very important to have that good communication with your patient where they feel heard. And honestly, it does wonders. In general practice, it does wonders.